Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's 3:04. So glad to have you here. Welcome to America's Water Crisis, Racial Equity and Justice. So we're really going to have a great and engaging time here today. My name is Brian Vines. I'm on the special projects team here at Consumer Reports, and we've launched this virtual event series to examine America's water crisis and racial justice. We've been lucky enough to feature some people who are well-known advocates for water quality, and we'll be discussing the urgent need for safe and affordable drinking water, particularly for communities of color and low-income residents. So we are continuing in that stream today, no pun intended, but thank you for joining us. As America struggles with the dangerous divide between folks who have access to safe and affordable drinking water and those who just don't, Consumer Reports has been committed to exposing weaknesses in our nation's water systems. Now, in 2020, Consumer Reports and The Guardian partnered on an investigation into major challenges that many U.S. residents face in getting access to safe, clean, and affordable drinking water. Now, as part of that project, it was reported that more than 25 million Americans drink from the worst water systems, with communities of color, low income, and rural groups facing the highest risk. What we wanted to do was launch an event series that's focusing on the racial equity and water justice intersection, and bring attention to the issues and highlight some of the leaders who are working locally to advocate for change in their communities. Before I introduce you to the person, which needs no introduction if you're already here in the room, I just wanted to know that this afternoon we're going to be engaging with each other through the Q&A function, and that there will be time at the end of today's talk to actually get into some of those questions. So we're in the Q&A function, we're not in the chat. And we're going to be recording this, so you have a chance to share this panel with anyone you know who wasn't able to join us today, or someone who you think might benefit from watching it, i.e. everyone you know. So we've enabled closed captioning, and you can follow instructions in the bottom of your Zoom to turn them on. All right, this is the moment that I've been waiting for, at least since I got tapped, luckily enough to join the room today. Joining me today is Mari Copeny. Mari is well known as Little Miss Flint. She's not so little anymore, so maybe she's young Ms. Flint. A letter she wrote in 2016 at the age of 8 and was published in the LA Times got a lot of attention and made its way to a community organizer, civil servant person who was working in Washington, D.C., and she challenged that civil servant to visit her in Flint, Michigan. So I'm talking, of course, about Barack Obama, and that letter sparked an urgent dialogue and a visit from the president about clean water crisis and environmental racism that was just impossible to ignore, as was the messenger. It ultimately led to meetings with the president, as well as Bernie Sanders, and spotlights in Time Magazine, the Washington Post, NBC News, Vice. And in the wake of her note, her work in the community and successful crowdfunding campaigns helped this young person to distribute over 1 million bottles of water to Flint residents and raise over $500,000 for her Flint Kids project to place thousands of books in the hands of local kids in her community, and distribute backpacks, more on that later, with supplies to school-age youth. Now, she's partnered with a water filter company, Hydroviv, to donate and distribute high-capacity lead removal filters to families and child-centric organizations right in Flint, where she's living. Mari was named to the U.S. delegation of the 65th session of the UN Commission on the Status of Women, and is the youngest delegate ever selected to the UN Commission. She's also a youth ambassador to the Women's March on Washington and the National Climate March. And she sits on the board of directors for KidBox and is an active member in 18 by 18, an initiative that gets young people to vote once they turn 18, which she's well on her way to. In 2019, she also received the Shorty Award in activism. So that's a lot of intro for a very busy young woman who we are happy to have in the room with us today. So Mari, hello. You want to say hi to the folks after all that build up?
Hi. Hello. Hello. Hello.
So thank you for taking some time to join us today. It has been our honor and pleasure to watch you on your journey as you take your activism down so many roads and really just grow up in front of our eyes. And, you know, at Consumer Reports, we're known for our very young demographic. The teenagers love us, it's true, which is why it comes as no surprise that you're here this afternoon. But I'm, of course, being facetious. We are so happy to center the voice of a young person who is doing such amazing work. So I've said a lot of words, but it's time for me to turn over the floor to you. The people are here and they're waiting to hear exactly what it is that you have to say. So take it away, young Ms. Flint.
Okay. I'm gonna do my speech. Oh, okay. Water. Most of my story revolves around water. Water. For most, it's always there. You don't even think about it in your day-to-day life. You turn on the tap to get a drink, to brush your teeth, to make a pitcher of lemonade, to cook dinner with, and to run a bubble bath. There is never any question about if it's safe. We live in America, home of the cleanest air and water on the planet, right? Plus, there are systems in place to make sure that the water is safe. The fact is, America does not have the cleanest water on the planet. And sometimes those systems set up to keep us safe fail. And instead of clean water coming from your faucet, you end up getting poison. And suddenly that water you just knew was not safe. And you are facing a crisis that affects the single most basic human necessity, the water. And when that happens, life as you know it drastically changes. My name is Mari. I'm a 14-year-old kid from Flint, Michigan. People around the world may know me as Little Miss Flint, even though I am not so little anymore. Toxic water is a big part of my story. Before I get into that story, I want you all to think back to your own childhood. Imagine what it was like to be a kid. What were you doing at 8 years old? What was your biggest fear back then? Was it the boogeyman, monsters under your bed, having to eat vegetables at dinner time? Picture this. You're an 8-year-old kid. Childhood was going so great. You love bubble baths. You love them so much you will stay in the tub until your tips of your fingers get all wrinkled like a box of raisins. You love to help cook, especially getting to help fill up pots of water. In the summertime, you love to go swimming and throwing water balloons and play on the slip and slide. Hoping to make gallons of Kool-Aid and lemonade are one of your favorite things to do on a hot summer day. When you're 8, water is the last thing on your mind. That is until you notice that the water is not quite right. It smells funny and it has an odd color to it. When you take a shower, your skin gets really dry and itchy, and it gives you a rash that really hurts. The reporter in the news said that the water was fine and that there is no need to be alarmed. There was no way the water was causing this issue, and that the residents of my city were overreacting. Maybe the funny color water was because of the new season, and the rash was because of the new laundry detergent. Of course you believe them. Why would they lie? It's their job to report the truth. You notice your mom is getting concerned. She doesn't believe the media. A lot of the community didn't believe the media. A local doctor says that there is something wrong with the kids of my community, that many of us were getting really sick. A scientist and the community activists are coming out and saying that there's something very, very wrong with the water. Nothing was making sense, and my biggest fear wasn't the boogeyman or monster under my bed. It was the water. The headlines on the news changed. They were saying that the water wasn't safe to drink. Kids were sick. People were dying in my city were outraged. The politicians had lied to us. The media had lied to us. Everyone that was in charge of keeping us safe had failed us. We had a huge water crisis and we were stuck living in a real life nightmare. That was my life at 8 years old. When I was 6 years old, a change was made to our water source, beginning a water crisis in my beginning in my hometown. The water that was coming from our taps was not safe. In some homes, it was way more toxic than toxic waste. The people in charge of my community said that we needed to save money. So instead of keeping our safe water source, They wanted to drink water from the Flint River that would be treated in a water treatment plant that had not been used in decades. And to save even more money, they decided to not spend $100. They decided not to spend $100 a day to treat the water and make sure the water would not eat away at the aging pipes. All around the city, the water was coming out the faucet brown. At my house, the water smelled funny, and if you stayed in the bath for too long, you would get a rash that resembled chemical burns. My little sister ended up with rashes so bad, she had to have a special ointment and be wrapped inside plastic wrap at night to heal her skin. We could no longer brush our teeth or drink any water from the tap, and my siblings and I were no longer able to take bubble baths. All around the city, the water was causing these issues. Lots of kids ended up with lead poisoning. The water was killing people. As you could imagine, this was really scary. As a kid, it was hard to understand how the water got so bad and why the adults weren't fixing it. And honestly, I really miss being able to take a bubble bath. Since the adults didn't seem to be listening to each other, I decided maybe they would listen to a kid. Back then, my mom thought I was so crazy. And to be honest, I still believe she thinks I'm a little out of my mind, but that's okay. But she let me take the lead, and that's exactly what I did. We started going to marches and protests. Even when it was 20 degrees outside, there was snow up to my knees. I started speaking up and doing whatever I could to get people to listen to me. And FYI, it's really, really hard to make adults listen to you when you're a kid and all they're thinking about is you have no idea what you're talking about. We got a chance to go to Washington, D.C. for the congressional hearings of the Flint water crisis. A couple of days before leaving, I asked my mom if we could send a letter to President Obama. I knew there was no way he would even read the letter, let alone respond, but I wanted to try anyways. That trip came and went. A couple months later, my mom got a call from a block number. Turns out President Obama had read my letter, and not only was he going on me back, but he wanted to come to Flint to visit me and check out the water crisis for himself. Suddenly, everyone wanted to hear what I had to say, and I made sure to use that platform to do as much good as I could. Giving back has always been something that has come second nature to me. All my life, I have been raised to give back to my community. When I was little, I spent a lot of time with my grandma volunteering at the local food bank. During the holidays, my family would make up boxes of essentials and gifts for local families in need. So when the water crisis in Flint began, it was only natural to do what I could to give back. We started helping out pass out the water and other supplies to Flint residents. The bigger my platform became, the more I was able to give back. Every time I saw a need in the community, I made sure to do whatever I could to make sure that need was met. In April of 2018, when the state decided no longer wanted to fund the water test for residents to get clean water, I stepped up and raised money to be able to give away water to the residents that depended on it. I was able to raise over $250,000, and ultimately I gave away over 1 million bottles of water in about a year. The lines were always long, with many showing up hours early to make sure they were able to get cases of bottled water. The bottled water was a lifeline for people, but the amount of plastic waste coming from Flint from the bottled water was hurting our environment. I knew I had to shift my focus, so I reached out to a company and started working with them, and we came up with my very own water filter, a filter that gives an immediate solution to people dealing with toxic drinking water, one that takes bottled water out the equation and allows people to know that they are not at risk of running out of bottled water or having to worry about how they are going to be able to afford bottled water. I have raised over $500,000 to help fund these filters, and they are being shipped all over the country because, unfortunately, toxic drinking water is not a problem that is unique to Flint. It's actually a problem that is nationwide, with millions of the U.S. dealing with toxic drinking water. America has a water crisis. It's not just talked about enough. Yesterday, the Congress passed a $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill, which is great news for the millions of people across the country dealing with toxic drinking water and crumbling infrastructure. But the only problem with that is that it takes years to safely clean up the water infrastructure safely. People dealing with lead and PFAS in their water do not have years to wait for the water to be fixed. They need an immediate solution while the repairs are being done. That's where my filter comes in. My filter is able to hook up under a sink in just a few minutes and gives families clean water directly from their tap. No need to go and purchase bottled water, which is a huge inconvenience and also horrible for the planet. Environmental racism is real, and it's an issue we need to tackle head on. Too many kids are growing up in communities where the environment around them is damaging for their health and well-being. From toxic water to toxic air, every human deserves to grow up without having to worry that their surroundings can kill them. Thankfully, we are starting to take steps forward and clean up America's water. I'm Ari. I'm a 14-year-old kid from Flint, Michigan, out to save the world. Vote for my president in 2044. And I'm done. I did it. Did it.
Oh, you're done, but you're not done, because there is some people who have some questions. Thank you, Mari. Thank you so much for sharing your story. And when can we vote for you again?
2044.
2044. I'm sending a Google note right now to remind me to vote. 18 by 18, 2044. We'll see you at the polls. But before we get there, I have this idea that when I was a kid, I saw Sesame Street, and there was this thing they had with a split screen. And on one side, help me out, all the other old people, there was a kid brushing their teeth with the tap running. And the water was just running and running as the kid was brushing their teeth and not interacting with the water that was going down the drain. And on the other side of the screen, there was a goldfish, and the water was going lower and lower. And the fish was like losing all the water that presumably was going down the drain of the brusher. And the fish is like, his environment is sinking. So that was like my awakening about water, that it's something that we have to be stewards of. In my like child mind, like, oh, if I turn this water off, the fish will have a place to live. I'm not killing them. Water is a finite resource. You talked about your sister and the rash that she got. I wonder for you, what did it? Was it the smell? Was it your sister getting a rash? What was it that woke you up to the fact that water isn't just something that falls out of the sky or is in Lake Michigan? Water is something that we are responsible for.
Most definitely, the wake-up call for me had to be my little sister getting that really bad rash. And it was also the fact that I didn't talk about it. I didn't talk about it in my speech, but it was also the fact that, yes, the water was really, really, really bad back then. And it still is really bad now. Well, it was bad, really bad back then. And to be honest, there were people that were dying. Like, people were getting Legionnaires, and there was lots of kids that were getting lead poisoning. And that's like a really big issue, especially when they grow up, because that's going to affect their learning and their health. And those two were just like the ultimate like wake up call for me to like just get on task and just help people and do what I could.
Thank you for that. I'm wondering, for anyone who's ever sort of had a weekend in Mexico or has gone to a country that's outside of our own, and people say, oh, watch out, or don't drink the water, how foreign it is and how it's such a reflex when you're going to brush your teeth to turn on the tap and dip it under, or do all of the things that many of us are fortunate enough to take for granted. But can you explain to me how you taught yourself and your body how to brush your teeth with a plastic bottle of water and do all the things that many of us take for granted and don't have to do if you're not like camping or somewhere where we're not acclimated to water?
At first, it was really hard trying to get used to the big change, because like I was so used to like using the tap water to brush my teeth, and it was like a really big change that I had to like actually take note of, and I actually had to listen to, because the water was bad and I couldn't drink the water. I couldn't brush my teeth with the water or anything like that. My mom, like my parents and my mom just wanted to like, well, yeah, but like my parents wanted me to stay safe and not like drink the water and like not use the water to brush teeth or anything like that. Like, and my mom eventually had to teach me and my little siblings that we could not use the water to brush our teeth or to drink or anything like that, and that we just had to straight use bottled water. And eventually, I got used to using the bottled water to brush my teeth with and to drink with and to do anything I would normally do with tap water, but I had to do with bottled water. It was a big change and it was hard to get used to, but we got used to it now.
Right. Yeah, it's amazing what we can get used to and what we shouldn't get used to, which is something that you're waking us up to, which for some, and even I saw in the chat, can you give us what your working definition of environmental racism is?
What?
Like when you think about the ways that people in Flint have to, like you said, get used to drinking or using bottled water in some instances to even brush their teeth, where that's like outside of the realm of thought for other people, but it's something that people there have been trained to do. Do you, when you hear environmental racism, what comes to mind for you?
Um, what comes to mind? Like, oh, this is kind of a hard question. What does come to my mind when I hear environmental racism?
Or even a feeling, like if someone says to you, the fact that we have water that is, Barack Obama came to town, if this water came out of the tap at his house, something would change, but we've just gotten used to it and we're supposed to take it as that's how it is, and they say this is environmental racism. What does that make you feel like?
That, how does that make me feel? I'm not really sure how I feel. I know that I feel really, really, really like, well, I just like get this feeling where like I just get kind of mad when I just like when there's just environmental racism, because like it's a big thing. It's a big topic that people really need to like take time and have to like learn, and like I wouldn't say have to help, but like can voluntarily try to help and stuff like that, because like it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. Environmental racism is real, and I would say it's not talked about enough, but it is very much talked about enough. But you can talk, but like we can talk about it more. Like it's good if something is like getting hyped up and stuff like that. I don't know how to explain it. I don't even know anymore.
Because sometimes we do get so caught up in a definition, or if someone doesn't believe it, or they just want to argue with you versus get the fullness of your experience and use it to move things forward. And they want to make it about definitions when it could easily be about, it doesn't feel good that I have to brush my teeth with water that comes out of a bottle, that my town has to throw away millions of bottles because we can't turn on our taps and have water that is not a threat to our health. So in that same vein, I'm just interested in knowing from your experience, we keep calling this a water crisis and a water crisis. And I think crisis is something that you get over. It has a beginning and an end. But we've been watching you bang the drum and talk about this since you were 8 years old. You're 14 now. How is this crisis still going on?
Honestly, it should have already been fixed by now. But what was the thing that was happening? Oh yeah, they were re-switching over. I think they were re-switching over the pipeline, so we couldn't like, I don't know, like we just like couldn't use tap water, but like we always aren't able to use tap water. But like it, like they were switching it over, so it was like it was already gonna get really bad enough. Like it's already bad enough, like it was getting bad. I think they're switching over the pipeline. That's what my mom had. Was it yesterday? I don't think it was. I don't know. Okay, it wasn't yesterday. It was like, it was like a few days ago. I'm not even sure. I know I remember like blind-handedly like washing my face on accident with the water, and I had told my dad. He was like, "So what kind of what water?" Because I use tap water. He was like, "Oh, Mari." My mom was like, "Oh, don't use the water. They're switching over the pipelines." But
so what happens? Take me back to that night. You're in there washing your face, as many of us should be doing every night, but you're in there washing your face. You use warm water, which exacerbates the problem. So what happened after? You use the warm water and then your dad's
okay,
like,
honestly, I wasn't thinking at the time. So like I just like went in there, just washed my face and like, dried off my face and got out. Nothing happened. Like I didn't get any rashes or anything to my face. Like it just like my face felt super soft. Like I washed my face, but like nothing like bad happened. And I was like, wait a minute, I use tap water. Oh no. But then I was like surprised, like why didn't my face get a rash or anything like that? Because I know for a fact that like when I do like wash my face with the water, like there's been past times I washed my face with the water and I've gotten really bad rashes from the water. But I'm surprised I didn't get a rash out from the water when I used it this time. I was so confused. Like, I was so confused, but at the same time, I was like, at this point, I don't even know. I don't even know.
There are some people who are watching and listening to that who could 100% relate to what you're talking about. But there are some people who are like, you are speaking a completely different language that they can't imagine what it's like that is your reality right now. So how do you get those people who have, like, you just blew their mind and they are like, wow, she even has to think about how she's going to wash her face and not use the wrong water. So how do you get those people on your squad? Those people for whom that's not a reality. For you, it is a reality. For them, it's like something like you just said, the sky is pink or whatever, and they can't even conceive of it. How do you get those people on your squad?
Well, how do I get people on my squad? I am sorry. I am not fully functioning today. I apologize for my lack of being a little bit behind. I apologize.
No, there's no apologies. Like, just by way of letting you all know a little BTS, you are looking at the busiest person that I've talked to in weeks. In addition to being here to talk about something that she's championed since she was able to use her voice, bringing justice to the people of Flint and the water supply, Mari is also in the middle of a fundraising effort for a massive back to school drive that she has been spearheading for the last 6 years. This young woman started with getting 50 backpacks full of school supplies that on average cost about $600 for back to school prep for young people in her community. So she started 6 years ago filling 50 backpacks. This year, you set an ambitious goal. Drop it on the people.
Wait, I forgot the goal. Wait, don't do this to me. Personally, I thought I would know the goal, but my mom knows the goal. But
Come on.
But my back to school event is this Sunday.
This Sunday? So let me outsource your brain for a second. She has endeavored to pack 1,000 backpacks by this summer full of supplies for the young people in the community of Flint. She's bringing safe drinking water, highlighting the water crisis, and endeavoring to put 1,000 backpacks on the backs of 1,000 young people in her community. So I'm sure that you can all forgive her if she's not exactly 100% in answering some questions from a goofy guy. But
I apologize.
No. Your apology is accepted, and your even asking is completely unwarranted because we feel you and we all support you. And I'm sure we'll all be running over to your GoFundMe, which is
wait, what is it? I know it's like GoFundMe what was it? I really wish I had it put up right now. I would have just read it. It's like, isn't it? I think it's like Team Mari Back to School or something like that. I know it's like it revolves around it. The title literally has back to school and
But guess what? This is what we do at Consumer Reports. It's already been dropped into the chat. So for everyone wondering, the link is already there. You just click it, pull out that little piece of plastic, Venmo, drop some Bitcoin on her, whatever it is that you have, they will accept it in order to send the young people of Flint back to school so we can find and develop the next voice who's going to join the squad that Mari is assembling to bring clean water, school supplies, and end environmental racism as it rears its ugly head. So one person in the chat wants to know, Mari, what it is that you plan to major in when you go to college on your way to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in 2044. So do you have an idea of what your major is going to be?
I never thought about that. I never thought about that when I was going to major into. like, isn't it like because like, isn't there like a certain thing like you have to major into in order to become president? I just don't know what it is. I don't
Uh,
even know. I know
I'll
that I have to go
tell
to
you, there is for better or for ill. There's nothing you have to major in. You just
school.
have to bring yourself to the job. There's a million different ways that we can get to that path. There's several paths to that place, but you do have to have the energy that you seem to be excluding, as John and Crystal is telling us. They're loving your energy and they're feeling your message out there. So if you were to see the people in the chat and tell them one thing that they should know before leaving today, what would you want them to know?
That okay. One thing I'll tell it. Okay, the one thing I would have to tell everybody today would have to be Flint isn't the only place that has a water crisis. America has a water crisis, and I want the word to get spread out everywhere. So America just knows they have a water crisis. Because America does have a water crisis, and it's not talked about enough. And I'm gonna make sure that I'm the one to bring awareness to it.
What does that water crisis look like? Like if you tell people we have a water crisis and they say, oh, that's horrible. But if you had to paint a picture of it and take it from like analog to digital, like, okay, we have a water crisis, but draw me a cartoon. What does a water crisis look like in America?
It would be a big water drop. Oh, it's raining really hard right now. I'm sorry. But okay, It would be a big water drop with a mad face on it. And then it would be not a mad face. It'd either be a mad face or it'd be like it'd be a sick water drop. A sick water drop. And it would probably have the American flag in the background of it. Then it would I don't even know. What am I even saying right now? I don't even just know it would be like, it would have something like the drawing would have to be something water related because it is something water related, but it would be something that explains the American water crisis. Yeah.
So we have a question that is in the chat that came from one of our attendees here. Dennis wanted to know, is Flint's water okay right now?
No, it is not. Unfortunately, it's supposed to already been fixed, but it's slowly getting fixed, but it's not moving fast enough for my pacing. It was already supposed to be fixed, but since COVID had hit and quarantine and stuff like that, everything got so postponed to the point where like it's just been moving very slowly. I'm pretty sure it's already supposed to been fixed, but since quarantine and all that happened, everything got postponed, so it's just moving very slowly. But I mean, we're getting there, I think.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to hear, and you doing events like this and continuing to spread the word is only keeping the pressure on. How can we help you keep the pressure on to make sure that things move as quickly as they can? Just tell us, what do you want us to do, Mari?
Well, you can do posts about it. You can do posts about it. You can donate to like GoFundMe's and stuff like that. But all out, you can just basically help to your best of advance.
Yeah.
If you can't donate, then you can make a post about it. And if you can donate, then donate and make a post about it.
Yeah, both of these things are allowed. We want your money, we want your interest, we want your friends to be aware. So pick one of those things, do it, and then do the other two twice. So we have someone in the room who's actually an educator and wants to know, I'm presuming they're an educator, but they want to know if you have any advice on how teachers can get their students to become advocates and get involved in their community wherever they are, whatever issue they have in their community. Because I imagine while water is an issue that is so much in the front of your mind in Flint, there are other issues and other young people finding their voices. So how would you encourage a teacher to bring what you found inside of yourself out for their students?
Well, first, here's what I always say, but first, you gotta let the kids take their own lead, and if they talk about something they're really passionate about, like, it's like issue-wise, if there's something they're like really passionate about and they want to like get their word out, please, 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 please don't bring them down. Don't say they don't know what they're talking about. Hype them up. Try to like, because eventually,
We got you. We're going to do an overdub. You just move your lips and I'll say it.
How am I going to
eventually?
Still can't even talk.
Yes.
All right. Okay, because eventually, I'm not saying that word, because later on,
yes.
Because later on, they're gonna end up getting a platform because they use their voice, and what are you gonna say? And they're gonna get a platform later on, and they're gonna want to build on that platform so they can get their voices heard from all over. Because to be honest, you never know who could be listening to you. I mean, it could either be a group of little kids inside a classroom, or it can be, someone very, very, very famous. Who knows? Because all it takes is using your voice, using hype, and just yeah. You gotta be super fearless too. So like, you just gotta be fearless, use your voice, all that good stuff.
How did you become so fearless?
Honestly, I think it was because of like starting off, I was like kind of shy, but then like later on, I had gotten.
You were shy.
Well. Was I shy? I'm pretty sure I was shy at first because like I remember not being able to use my voice, but now it's just like I can use my voice without getting shy or anything like that. Like, yeah, I may stutter over my words and stuff, and slur my words all the time, but that doesn't stop me from saying what I have to say, because I really just want to get my word out there. Like, I'm getting straight to the point that I'm just trying to get my words out there. Like that's what I'm trying. I'm trying to get people to listen to me, because sometimes not sometimes, I always have facts. I always have my facts. I just want people to listen to my facts and listen to what I have to say, because it's always good. But yeah, I guess I just kind of like gotten so used to talking to the point where I was like, you know what? I said be fearless, and now I'm just super fearless to the point where I can just say whatever I want without getting like, oh, I just said that. Yeah, I said that. Oh well.
So is there any difference in the way that you make the message or the feeling you have when you're talking to a Barack Obama or a person on the news, or you're just talking to someone you met on the corner and they're like, water, what's wrong with the water? Or how can we change it? Like, does the message change or morph depending on whether it's like Barack you're talking to or the person who you met at the supermarket?
My message always stays the same. I just want everybody to have clean, safe drinking water. I honestly just want everybody to have clean, safe drinking water, because that's one thing that everybody needs, and everybody just deserves it. I don't yeah, everybody just deserves clean, safe drinking water.
What does clean, safe drinking water in a Flint and in America that had clean, safe drinking water, what does that look like? Like, how will you know when you've won?
How I know when I won? When I'm able to drink straight from the faucet. When I'm able to drink straight from the faucet and make my ramen noodles with it.
Oh, happy day when that happens. I'm sure the ramen people will be thrilled to send you a big old brick of them. So, Mari, you are a young person. You're an activist. You're a student. You're also on the JV cheerleading squad. I heard. Congratulations on your new venture. So, for many of us who find like that by the end of the day, we don't have a lot left in our tank, is there something you can tell us about what keeps you going and how we might be able to find a spark to show up in our lives and also use energy to push for things that we know need to be better?
How am I able to word this? I am really not on top of it today. I am so sorry.
You don't have to apologize. We're giving you positive affirmations. No more, I'm not on top of this. You say, you know what? I am thinking about it, and I have so many brilliant thoughts. I'm just waiting for one of them to bubble up to the top to give you a single answer, because we are watching you, and more than what you say right now, your actions are showing where your thought and your heart and your intentions are. And there's so many people around the world who appreciate that, and we appreciate you for doing that as well. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm wondering now, what's the next fight? You said things are moving slowly but surely. Where should we be paying attention?
Like, you could hit, people can pay attention to literally any cause, because like all the causes are important. But it's always good to focus on one, then focusing on another one. Because if you focus on all of them at once, it's gonna lead to a lot of stress and trying to figure out all the facts for it. Trust me, don't be like me, and don't be like me and get overstressed. Just don't be like me, because it's gonna lead to one thing and another, and it's gonna be super stressful, and you're gonna be like, I'm exhausted. I can't do this. Like, I'm exhausted. I cannot. Like, not even physically. I'm mentally exhausted. I cannot do this. But all causes are important. So it's always good to focus on one and then moving on to another one. So you can focus on water, and then you can focus on whatever other cause that means something to you. You can focus on. But it's always good to focus on something.
So I know the clock is ticking and you're almost back in school in person. So I'm wondering, like, when you are in school, are the water fountains on? Where when you're walking down the hall in school? Like, there were water fountains when I was in school, like 2 or 3 years ago when I graduated high school. But when you're walking down the halls in Flint, do they have water fountains in school?
Okay, so the high school I'm going to is like a few, I don't even know how many minutes away is it from Flint. But I don't go to school inside Flint. I go to school inside like this other thingy called Blank. I go to school inside Grand Blank, and I've been to the school before only because I always have cheer practice there, and I always see girls filling up their water bottles with the water fountains there. So I'm almost positive like the water at school is fine. Like, the water at school is good. I'm pretty sure the water at school is all filtered and stuff, but they make sure that their stuff is like filtered, so like it's safe to like drink from the water fountains. Although I'm not sure if they're gonna I'm not sure this year if they're gonna let all the, like, when we all go back to school, if it's gonna be like if you can go up and like just drink from the water fountain, or if it's gonna have to do like the water bottle thingy. I'm not sure, but I know that like you like the water like thingy to put your water bottle under and stuff like that. You know what I'm talking about, like the one water bottle? Yeah. I'm pretty sure, like, because like those work, but the water works at school. That's always good.
And it's raining outside, and the water working at school. When you were a young person in elementary school, did you ever drink from the water fountain there?
Yes, I used to always drink from the water fountain inside elementary school. Yeah.
So can we talk about your filter for a moment? Mm-hmm. Bottled water gets a bad rap because of the waste aspect. You touched on that earlier. And like me personally, I never drink water out of a plastic bottle. Like, I'm like a person walking in the desert. I always have my little canteen or container because I'm like, I don't want to drink water and make waste. So you're addressing that waste by sharing this filter now. Tell me a little bit more about the filter.
Well, my filter is a high capacity water filter that filters out lead and other harmful bacteria and stuff like that in the water, and it installs right underneath the sink, and you just get a year worth of clean water, and it comes with a second cartridge too, so you get another year of clean water. So you get years worth of clean water. Yeah.
2 years worth of clean water from one short package. You get 2 years worth of, and it just connects under your sink right into the tap and filters, so you can experience the amazing, really underappreciated experience of turning on a tap and having fresh potable water. without creating any waste that has to go into any landfill or recycling scheme.
Mm-hmm.
So how many filters are out there now? Are people on the filter kick, or they still got the walk into people's houses and they got the water stacked up when you come in, like in like a big box store?
So all I know is like I don't know like are my filters getting shipped out already? I'm not sure if they're already getting shipped out already, but I do know there's been I do know I do know that we did in fact ship filters over to one of my other activist friends, and he did them with his event, and he was giving out the water filters. So like people are getting the filters, which is making me very happy because like people are getting my water filters. Like that's like people are getting my water filters. That's so cool. Like that's actually cool. But like yeah.
Very cool. You're the influencer who actually has something to say. So are you going to keep using your powers for good? What do you want us to know?
I don't know. You know, like I don't know. Like what do you guys want to know? Like I don't know. I could probably answer it. I'm not sure. And I don't know.
Well, again, we're gonna keep on watching, and you know, someone in the chat is mentioning, I see you, John, over there. You're mentioning UCLA's Project Clean Air. So that was something in the 80s and the 90s, especially out in Los Angeles, where the air quality was so poor, and it became a punchline for the rest of the world, where people actually struggled. And we know, and it's been shown that especially in communities of color, as well as low income communities, and those that are both, those are the people who are largely on the front lines of things like what we've defined as environmental racism, where they don't have the means or the political power that some other people in communities have. So they get the short end of the stick when it comes to resources, or locating processing plants or trash things next to their homes where they live, or expressways that are, you know, going to be coming to the house and pollute the air. So we have imagined ourselves into, in some ways, a better future with our air quality, and the world is watching. Mari, what do you think it's going to get? What do you think it's going to take to get the world and America to pay attention to water?
It's going to take a few things. It's going to take a lot of voices, and it's just going to take a lot of convincing. Like that, it's going to take a lot of convincing, because some people are going to believe it, and some people are just not going to believe it, just not going to be on it. But it's yeah.
Well, you know, haters are going to hate, but what's the most convincing thing that you've ever heard or told someone about the water crisis? Like, this is your like mic drop moment. It's like, you know, when I tell you this about the water crisis, you're not going to be able to come at me at all. So what do you say before the mic drop? What's the most convincing thing that people should know?
Well, the one convincing that people should know is that America has a water crisis. And every time when I do say it, because I'm always saying it, some people are either going to believe it or going to be like, oh, what is she talking about? She doesn't know what she's talking about. Because I get a lot of hate and backlash for the fact that I'm a young Black girl that you know, knows facts and stuff like that. And like, I would like, it doesn't like, at this point, doesn't even like affect me or anything like that. I'm just like, okay, cool. I know more facts than you, but okay.
This is not a challenge, but just a moment of reflection and validation for you and the work that we've been so lucky to watch you do and be inspired by. But can you just give me one fact about water or the water crisis that I should know?
Well, one fact you should know is that the water is bad, and that if you drink the water, you can most definitely get lead poisoning or Legionnaires, which you don't want any of those at all. So just like drink a bottle of water, and also do if your water is bad and you want to like take a shower, like not a bath, like you want to take a shower, do get a shower filter. My house has a my house has a shower filter and it works phenomenal. And if you want to take a bath, well, my mom had did this once my mom had did this once when even though like we had the shower filter on, but what we did is that our shower head is like one of the detachable ones that you can like, it's like one of the detachable ones. Right. So what she had did was that she had put the water on, and then she had to set the like detachable thingy down inside the tub, and she let the water run until it was full. Not full, like it was full enough to get in and take a bath. Like that's something you can do if you have a shower filter and have a bathtub that is all connected. It's very helpful.
But baths are also gross. editorializing. Oh, I'm a shower guy. I don't want to take a bath. Like, what am I, 2 years old to be sitting in a bathtub?
I mean, like bubbles and bath bombs are like always cool to have in the tub. I mean,
okay.
Baths are clean. What do you want about? What do you want about?
I'm sorry, I'm in the shower lobby. I'm not about your bath. Take all your products and use them in your shower. But sure, a bubble bath. I'm a fan of Mr. Bubble. If they're out there, I go for a nice bubble bath. But enough about me. So we're coming up on our time now. And I'm going to ask you something that is a little special, maybe a little particular. There's a bunch of folks in the room who are like old like me, but I want you to ignore us all and look into your camera and speak directly to the young people. There you go. Get real close. Speak to the young people and tell them about sparking their passion and using their voice for change.
Okay, young people. Oh, okay, people my age, probably younger or older, but just like Gen Z children. Yes, Gen Z kids. Okay, Gen Z kids. You can do it. You can use your voice. It's okay. We all know that you guys have your facts and you want to use your voice. You can use your voice. It's okay. Even if you're a little bit scared, it's okay. I was scared at first too. It's okay because you're gonna warm up to. Like if you get used to talking, you're gonna warm up just like me. It's okay because you're gonna used to it and you're gonna love speaking out about what you do, and like it's really good because then you can build up your platform and you're gonna go higher and higher until you reach that set goal that your goal is. Like say your goal was to get everybody to know about, let's take a random topic, to know about climate change. Mm-hmm. Post about it, talk about it, get your voice heard, and your platform is gonna build up and people are gonna want to listen to you about climate change. Like that's something that you have to do. You have to use your voice. That's one thing you gotta do. You gotta use your voice, children. Use your voice, and boom, your platform built. Yeah, let's see, your voice heard. Yeah.
All right, I can't think of a better way to end than that. You've all been told, use your voice. Build that platform. There's a question in here from John McChrystal about how do you have so much energy to do so much? But if we told you, we'd have to kill you. So just keep watching and supporting John. You got some shout outs in there with people saying congratulations and thank you for the work. And now I'm going to add my voice to theirs and say thank you for the work. Thank you for joining us. The hour flew by. If you would like more information, you can go to maricopeny.com and follow all of the initiatives and the links and see the arc of what's been happening. And there's also still time to get in there, click on that chat and donate some money to the young people of Flint so they can go back to school the right way, because there is a future Mari there who just needs a pack of crayons to make the vision come together. And it can mean so little to you and so much to them to get 1,000 backpacks on the backs of the young people in Flint, because look at what they produced. Look at this gym that we got here. Imagine if we would have lost her because there was nobody who could share some money to get her some crayons or a backpack or some loose leaf paper. So do what you can, right? She's doing the best she can with what she's got, and that is a whole heck of a lot. And now we just need you to do the same. So Mari, you want to say bye to the people?
Bye.
So I'm going to say bye now too. Thank you so much for joining Consumer Reports here and our talk with Mari as we talk about America's water crisis and racial equity and justice. Again, this has been Consumer Reports with Mari, Little Miss Flint, who's not so little anymore, but still our favorite water advocate, joining us for America's water crisis, racial equity and justice. We'll see you next time, everybody. Bye now.